tried hard to cooperate with the telephone triage, etc. But basically, as a result of that, I got an ambulance attending me within, I think it was 40 minutes. And to cut a long story short, over the next couple of hours, I emptied a full cylinder of Entonox into my lungs, and I got pain relief. I had A1 service from the emergency services from the start, but as soon as I went through those hospital doors, things weren't so good. I was left in a cubicle with nobody doing anything for a period of time which I think could have been an hour to an hour and a half. I was seen relatively quickly, first of all by the A&E doctor, then by the orthopaedic registrar who was called to see me. So at that point, it was around 7 o'clock to 7:30 on a Friday evening. But I had already been told, you're not going to be scanned because our scanner is closed for the weekend. At that point, as far as I was concerned, I was in severe back pain. I knew my lower limbs weren't working because they'd tested me now umpteen times, sent me for a lumbar x-ray. I was then put in a hospital bed overnight, and nothing further happened because there was essentially a decision, do nothing till tomorrow. Nothing further happened until the following morning, but the following morning inbounced the consultant, and that consultant gave me an examination and indicated in the records that my case was urgent and gave instructions for me to be transferred urgently to the neurosurgical unit that I was closest to. Everything takes time. I was transferred about 10:30 to 11:30, something like that. The transfer took about 45 minutes. When I arrived at the referring hospital, there was something like a 2-hour interval before I was examined by the neurosurgical registrar, who was not. Instructions were given for an urgent scan of the lumbosacral spine to be carried out, and I had agitated about getting anaesthetic help for pain relief, and the nurses gave that oral sedative, but only 5 minutes before I was whistled down to the scanning department, and I only had oral sedative, and I was in a state of tremendous fear because I knew that I couldn't lie flat for a second, let alone 20 minutes going through a scanner. What happened was, because I demurred, I was sent straight back up to the ward, and I was not scanned until I think 10 to 7 p.m. that evening. So I wasn't even put in the scanning room, I lost that. So I was sort of, in effect, shunted down the list of priorities, and I was eventually operated on almost, I'd say 46 hours after the onset of 46 hours after I rang for emergency help. The operation that I had, I would accept was a good operation, but when I attended outpatients 2 or 3 months afterwards, I was very burdened with the issue of why insufficient attention had been paid to my paralysed limbs. And the answer that I got, which was from a physiotherapist who had been appointed to the position of ESP, which means extended scope practitioner, but an experienced man. He was probably in his 50s. But the answer I got was, are you not grateful that we saved you from these terrible pelvic complications that before people? And I said, well, I am, but I'm paralysed.